commas, many Hondas.
Yami Tsukihiro, the dark-cloaked, super powerful, cool, nonchalant, swaggy swordsman from Black Clover. And Roronoa Zoro, the green hair, 3-sword wielding, cool guy, tough guy act, always getting lost in combat, vice captain of the Straw Hat crew from One Piece. Let's analyze their abilities and fighting styles to see which swordsman is actually more powerful if the two were ever to collide in real life. Now, like most conventional comparison videos in anime, we will be taking some of their feats as well as some of their power and speed, but I like to keep this pretty anecdotal, guys, because everyone likes to get into the nitty-gritty and all the details, and they start talking about, oh well, Zoro can produce 1,000,000 tons of force. No, I'm not here for that, guys. I'm here for anecdotal conjecture and to basically better understand who would be better. So stick around to the end to really understand which swordsman is definitely taking it in a fight. Now, as I mentioned before, Yami wields dark magic, which is basically an affinity type in Black Clover. You have many, but this places Yami at the arcane stage. Trying to think about it too much, but just know that he's a very rare mage for his affinity for magic, because in the Black Clover universe, you encounter most mages with an affinity for just natural elemental magic, which would be fire, water, earth magic. However, you have a couple of arcane stage mages that their magic is just completely different. Someone like Asta, the protagonist, whose magic is anti-magic, which is basically the most OP magic in the whole universe. Very interesting that they gave him that plot armor. Yami's magic is arguably the rarest of all the magic forms, along with Asta's anti-magic. Added on top of this is the fact that Yami is actually the captain of the Black Bulls, which is one of the 9 Magic Knight squads in the Clover Kingdom. This places him at a level well above most of the mages, most of the characters you'll ever meet in the show. It doesn't take a long time of watching Black Clover to really understand that Yami is probably one of the 3 most powerful characters in the show, because every character he's pitted against, he's known to surpass his limits, as he likes to say. It's actually one of his favorite quotes, probably what he's most known for, surpassing his limits, and he's always surpassing his limits and getting better and better. And as we see, he's passed that on to Asta, who, as the main protagonist, he seems to be following the most in Yami's footsteps, wants to be a lot like him. He's very muscle bound, just like Yami. They have a lot of comparisons in that way. As a master swordsman and one of the most powerful characters in the whole show, Yami has an array of vast abilities, namely superhuman physical strength, master swordsman, accelerated development, aura, dark magic, enhanced senses, extrasensory perception, flight, force field creation, information analysis, key sensing, magic absorption, mana manipulation, power nullification, and many more. But enough talk about Yami. Let's see how he stacks up against Zoro, my favorite swordsman in all of anime history. Much like Yami, Zoro is also a foreigner because he is not originally from the East Blue, which we once believed. He's a rather cool-headed swordsman who only allows his fellow crewmate Sanji, the Blackfoot, to annoy him. But other than that, he's pretty nonchalant and aloof. He tends to get lost a lot, which is one of his most comedic things about him. Zoro is arguably the second strongest in the Straw Hat crew, if not the strongest. But I don't want to let a lot of people start to argue about that. We'll be here all day. He's most known for his 3-sword style, where he wields 2 swords in hand and 1 sword in his mouth, and that is what has made him one of the most iconic swordsmen in all of anime history. This style was actually adapted from a real-world swordsman named Miyato Musashi, who actually wielded 2 swords in combat and actually wrote a book named The Book of 5 Rings. We've seen Zoro grow stronger and stronger while defeating opponent after opponent after opponent. His goal is to actually become the greatest swordsman ever, and he won't stop or rest until Luffy becomes Pirate King and he achieves his goal. Let's talk about some of his feats and abilities. As being one of the only regular humans on the Straw Hat crew, this makes Zoro vastly powerful, because compared to all the Straw Hats, they're either cyborgs or devil fruit wielders. Zoro is technically, for the most part, just a normal human. However, they have referred to him as a monster for his vast amounts of strength before. He's extremely durable and an extremely crafty swordsman. And on top of this, after the time skip, he was able to add haki to his repertoire of fighting. For those that don't know, haki is an an additional power-up system in the One Piece anime where basically you can use it either to enhance your observation or your perception, enhance your attacks, or enhance your defense as well. Zoro is actually also shown to have Conqueror's haki, making him to have the color of the Supreme King, meaning he's one of the most powerful characters in all of the show because you cannot obtain this haki through training. This is the only haki that you either are born with or you awaken or you never have it. And it's most shown to describe or depict those who will rule or those who will have a prominent say in just the whole One Piece universe because their haki is so powerful. Namely, some characters like Kaido, Luffy, Big Mom, all of the emperors have Conqueror's haki. But you see the level of power that you need to be to even have that type of haki. But I'm glad you guys stuck around to the end. If you're still here, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And now let's get into our breakdown of who would be the stronger character. All things being equal as best as we can to the best of our ability, obviously we understand that these are two different universes. I just want to shed some light on some details. So Yami is a bit older than Zoro, meaning he's more developed and he has better training. As many fights as Zoro must have been in, it's safe to assume that Yami has been in more because Yami is 28, whereas Zoro is roughly 21. Now, although Zoro has trained very hard, and we've seen some clips of him training his body to the utmost of his ability, this would make him very strong in the show. However, compared to other characters, we've seen greater feats of speed and strength just because in the One Piece universe, some people have literal superpowers or devil fruit abilities while Zoro's just a normal human. However, this is not to say that he's slow or weak, there's characters that are stronger than him. Now, to juxtapose this, Yami is probably, if you look up the wiki, he's probably the most powerful physically character in the whole of the show, and he can use magic to augment his ability. It's called reinforcement magic. He can augment his speed, his endurance, all of his abilities through the use of this magic. Now, I would say that this makes Yami faster than Zoro. As we've seen in fights with people versus Licht and even Admiral Kizaru, Zoro and Yami are obviously both above light level speeds of fighting, so that's like a hard indicator. Now, this right here is my biggest argument, and you have to hear me out. After watching the fight with Zoro and King in the Land of Wano arc, the most recent fight, Zoro's recent win, so this is like a very good, I guess, standard or benchmark to understand Zoro and his capabilities and his limits. I saw one glaring problem with Zoro's fighting style, and that problem is Zoro cannot fly. All of the characters, like Sanji, he can moonwalk. Luffy, literally, as with his Gear 5, he's literally now flying. They don't even explain it. I think he's just using his imagination to fly. If anyone understands Gear 5, I got a video on that coming out soon. He's literally using his imagination at this point to fly. But flying is such an important part of anime battles because mobility is so important. So as you're seeing Zoro fighting King, he's literally jumping off rocks. Like, he had a hard time just because King was aerial and airborne. Like, he honestly wiped the floor with Zoro for a long and a good amount of that fight. Now, looking at Yami also had the same issue. Yami could not fly for a long time. However, when we get into the Spade Kingdom arc, Yami goes to go train with the older sister of the captain of the Crimson Lions. He then is able to better master his mana zone, which is basically controlling the mana in a whole area around you. Only the most powerful characters can do this. And through mastering that ability, he's able to use platform creation, which is a lot like the moonwalk that the government officials use in One Piece. It allows him to create platforms in midair. Essentially, he can fly. So this, I believe, puts Yami at a huge advantage over Zoro because Zoro cannot fly. Now, two things that Zoro does have in his favor are luck, which is stated to be something that Zoro just has a knack for. He has a great amount of luck. He says it all the time. And then his haki. So with observation haki, it sharpens your senses and almost gives you foresight to your opponent's attacks and the things around you. However, Yami has the same type of fighting style, so they cancel out. Yami, because he's a foreigner, he's developed ki sensing, which is basically someone's life force energy, their breathing, the noises they make, the beating of their heart. They're able to turn this into an auto sensory ability. And the only two people that we've seen to be able to use this so far are Asta and Yami because their fighting styles are so similar. They're both sword wielders with anti-magic and dark magic. So the ki sensing would cancel out the visionary haki or the observatory haki. And then all that Zoro has also in his favor is, Busho Shoki haki, which is the hardening or the strengthening of his attacks. Now, it's hard to quantify how powerful or how effective this Bushoshoku haki will be against Yami's magic. However, I just believe that Yami has more ways to use his magic as he's been progressing over time. He just, if you go and watch the Spade arc, you see him use his magic to create dark moons, to create black holes, and he can literally slash dimensions. That is how I'm going to end this argument. So I've never seen an attack as powerful as Zoro slashing a dimension. He has stated, you know, whenever he is about to unleash a powerful attack, he says when the 9 worlds collide, there's nothing he can't cut. However, we're yet to see Zoro cut a whole dimension. Yami has used his dimension cutting slash to cut through the captain of the Coral Peacock squad, Dorothy Unsworth. Her abilities allow her to move characters into another dimension where they cannot leave. However, Yami's been the only one to ever get out of dimension by literally cutting through that dimension. He cut through her dreams, so he can literally cut anything. I just don't believe Zoro has reached that stage in his abilities yet. I think he will get there eventually, but just from what I've seen, I don't think he's that powerful yet. So all that being said, I do believe that it would be a good battle. Zoro's very resourceful and he's very powerful. He's not going to get the floor wiped with himself. However, Yami just has more abilities and his magic is more versatile. Dark magic is also very hard to defeat. If he had a normal affinity such as maybe fire or water, I could easily see Zoro taking this, but dark magic just has so many attributes and so many ways to use it that I think Zoro would have a hard time figuring him out before the battle was over. Because as we've seen with Zoro, he kind of bangs his head against the wall until he figures it out, but I don't think he would have that time with someone like Yami. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if you guys like this type of content, because I definitely see myself doing more of this content in the future, and you know, just juxtaposing different characters from different shows, because this was very fun. This was a very fun video to create, but I can't wait to see you guys next time, so stay tuned for the next video, and remember to, as always, find your zen, your final form. I'll see you next time, guys.
I change clothes like my hoes. I love designer, and I change my flows like who knows. I want the